Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All today's guests, including Farhan Lalji, standing by, brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. G-Men would like to thank their fans for their support all season long at the LEC. Head to VancouverGiants.com to purchase 2025-2026 season tickets. Our thanks to the Giants and their support of our show. Delaney's OK Tire and Langley in Aldergrove inbox. Callan Langley, bang on. Maybe EP40 shouldn't play at training camp next year. He might get hurt. Ooh. Canucks should wrap him in sponges at the end of the year and send him to the States for some cheese. Cal and Langley.
Cal and Langley.
Don't show up at training camp. You might get hurt. And you know what? No preseason games as well. Don't worry about that either.
Your franchise player just had a horrible year, but let's go to the World.
He's not there.
Let's go to the World. Well, okay, he's your highest paid player, Don. He's your highest paid player. But let's go to a mean-nothing tournament. Let's go to a mean-nothing tournament. Yeah. Huh? Well, in terms of, like, what are you getting out of it? Like, I mean, it's not
the World Championship.
Okay.
How often do we got to get the far hand here, but how often do the European players say the World Championships is a big deal, on par for some people with the Stanley Cup? Put that in your pipe
now, and
smoke it.
But I'd rather be one of the 16 teams competing in the Stanley Cup playoffs, not the Worlds.
Well, if he has a great Worlds, maybe that will increase his confidence and help the Canucks be one of the 16 teams at this time next year. Farhan Lalji joins us now from TSN. How are you, sir?
Good, but Donnie, rarely do I ever say this, but Rick is right and you're wrong.
Oh, okay.
Without
Thanks for joining us, Farhan.
Bye, see you later.
Right, and I'm glad I got the black memo. First of all, the guy's hurt. Yeah. He's hurt.
Bingo.
So we went through a whole process last year where this guy claims that his injury affected his training in the offseason, and he needed to come in camp in shape, and he wasn't. He made a horrible impression on his team. He wasn't good at the start of the year. I got news for you. He didn't make a good impression on his Swedish teammates when he was there for the Four Nations. I don't know that a chance to go there and play now at this stage is going to necessarily be good for him because it didn't go well at the Four Nations this time. So let him get healthy. Let him train. And if the Canucks want to trade him, why would you risk injury there? Because now if you do want to trade him, he becomes untradeable in that moment, right? So for every possible reason, it's a bad idea for Pettersson to go to the Worlds.
Well, first of all, I don't know if you're familiar with the injuries, but oftentimes you get better. And the tournament is weeks from now. So there's that. And if you want to trade him, what if he lights it up? What if he lights it up at the World Championships? I'm so right on this
you know
situation.
What? The last 2 weeks before the injury, he finally showed signs of life as a player. Yeah. Let that be the image that 31 other GMs have of Elias Pettersson if you want to trade him, as opposed to, like, it's not going higher there, but it could go lower.
Or it could. What do you mean it won't go higher? It might go higher.
He had 2 good weeks. And you can go to every team that wants to trade with him and see he was coming out of it. Everything was good. Add that with a change of scenery, everything's going to be fine. He goes there coming off an injury. The injury's in his head, and he doesn't play up to his level. There's a higher probability that it blows up in the Canucks' face.
Meanwhile, as we move on here, Canucks out
Rick, you and me, we're like that.
Well, Ryan's in there with you. Canucks officially out of playoff contention as of last night. Who do you blame, or what do you blame?
Wow. Well, you blame all of them, right? I mean, it's easy to say injuries, and that is part of it, right? You can't run from that. However, when they were relatively healthy, when you go back to the beginning of the year, you just look at the number of games they let get away. When you look at this team's home record, when you look at this team's record against non-playoff teams, and then recently, you go back to that New York game to start the road trip where they were all over the Rangers and couldn't come out with a point. You look at the Columbus game, right, where they had 3-goal leads in that game. I look at that New York game as the day they had missed the playoffs, because not only did they lose a game they absolutely should have won, everybody around them won, and they lost 2 key players in Höglander and Pettersson, right? And to me, at that point, it became a bit of a pipe dream, even though people kind of hung on for a bit. But, injuries, just lack of character in those key situations, and, then all the drama, right, around Pettersson and Miller, right? Like, you can't run from that either. That affected the entire room, and here we are without playoffs in April.
Well, and when you look at how they're going to fix it this summer, this offseason, first of all, the defense is good. They're solid on the blue line, solid in goal. It's the forward group. They need more top six wingers. They need a second-line center. That's where the bulk of their work's going to be done this summer, is in that top six in the forward group.
Yeah, they've just shifted it all. It's funny. I was joking with my wife the other day that we had a big mess in the garage, and it all went from the garage into my bedroom, right? And so that's what's happened here. Right at the start of the year, the blue line was a disaster, and now all of a sudden they've managed to fix that. And it wasn't necessarily, some of the fixes were internal, right? Like Elias Pettersson and potentially Tom Wielander when he comes. But yeah, they've moved the problems up front, and when you lose a player like JT Miller, that has franchise-altering implications, right? Because top six centers don't grow on trees. And Rick, you said a second-line center. They might need a first-line center, right? If Pettersson doesn't get back to like top form, so or if they trade him. So there's a lot of work to be done for this team in the offseason, and it's a complicated puzzle. When Rutherford came here, you had to give him a lot of credit for how they kind of unraveled the knot that was this team's salary cap. But now there's other roster issues that they've got to get fixed. And even if you move a guy like Besser, right? Like let's say Besser doesn't come back. What happens there, right? Like now you got to get another scoring winger, right? Because Jake DeBrusk has been okay, but there's questions there, right? We all thought this team was good down the middle, but they needed winger support. Now they need center support and winger support going into this offseason.
Boy, Quinn Hughes yesterday in that interview with Ian McIntyre loves the coach. That's going to put pressure on management and ownership to sign the coach because the franchise player is raving about the coach.
Yeah, none of this is a surprise. We knew that Quinn Hughes really liked Rick Tocchet. Look, I like Rick Tocchet. I know he's polarizing in this marketplace, and people want to blame him for a lack of offense and system and things like that. This is a team that was really, really immature when Travis Green was here. And Travis Green and Rick Tocchet are very similar coaches. And, you see what Travis Green is doing in Ottawa right now. So they get rid of Travis Green because this team was too immature to handle hard coaching. So they had to get the love in with Bruce Boudreau. And then eventually that didn't work itself out. So then they brought in Rick Tocchet. And the thought a year ago was, okay, they're mature enough now to deal with that type of coaching. And now here we are a little bit later. So good for Quinn Hughes for putting it out there, because we all understand from the moment they traded JT Miller that the biggest thing this team needs to do now is make Quinn Hughes happy. So get Rick Tocchet signed, and we've talked about it before, that getting Rick Tocchet signed isn't simply about dollar and term. It's also about your vision for how you're going to fix this roster. And believe me, fix is the right word after you trade JT Miller. So they got to fix it, and he's got to buy in. And whether or not the Pettersson question about whether the two of them can work, all of that is part of it. But for me, you make Quinn Hughes happy.
Farhan, football. Nathan Rourke was right here in these very studios last Friday. Just a tremendous interview. He's confident he can come back from a tough 2024. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he can too. Now, does he get back to 2022 levels? I don't know. And I only say that because that was such an incredible level that I don't know if anybody gets back there. And also, I don't think the team is as good as it was in 2022. But I think Nathan will give you everything he's got, and I think that he will be significantly better next year, right? So I'm glad they added some reinforcements on the offensive line. We'll see what the receiving core looks like. But I like what Nathan's doing this week, taking a page out of VA's book, and he's having his own mini camp for 3 days. Had the guys go-karting last night in Richmond. Had a catered barbecue from a brisket place that they're throwing for like 3 hours in the morning. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So he's doing a lot of things to get the room, because that was kind of the concern last year, that the room was a little bit divided. Not that people didn't like Nathan, but a lot of people really felt the loyalty to Vernon. He's now owning the room, and from the guys I've talked to that have taken part, like I think it's working, right? The vibes are good, I'm told. So it's cool that he's taken that next step as a face of the franchise, as a leader, all of it.
And I'll tell you, the vibes are good between you, Ryan, and Rick. I don't know about you and I. Man, you're totally against.
Yeah, listen, I will call Lisa, and she'll tell you I'm right.
I know that. Needless to say. Hey, I'm glad you got the Men in Black memo. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Is Henderson wearing black? What's Henderson wearing?
He's wearing black, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
He's wearing some
He's got his Cavern Club shirt.
Some bar.
Thanks.
Beautiful, beautiful. Next time I'll wear my Hawaiian shirt.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a Friday.
Tomorrow.
Thanks, Farhan.
See you, boys.